Welcome into I Said What I Said. I'm Brad Wakai. That's Tyson Gentry. This is our college football betting episode as we are in week 2 already. So this is just the picks. If you're looking for analysis, looking for a recap, go check that out. That's on our YouTube. But Tyson, we're down to business here, baby. And so what we do every single week is we jump in here and we recap exactly what happened in the previous week. And it was a good one for us as we pull up the recap screen here. I went 6-3. I got Oklahoma laying the big 42 number home. Penn State -8, not even a doubt. Clemson first half plus 7.5. That was sweaty, but got home. Laid the wood with Nebraska -27.5. Hawaii plus 14.5. James Madison -8.5. All got home for me. My three losers. My play of the week, unfortunately. Arizona -31. Florida money line, disastrous. And then Texas A&M, I got duped. But we'll take a 6-3 week for sure. We're up 2.24 units this week as we're chomping into the hole that we put ourselves into in week 0.
Yeah, you had a way better bounce back than I did. I came back. I had 7 plays last week. I go 4-3. I got my play of the week home with Oklahoma State. They look good. I don't know what to tell you guys about South Dakota State. I think that Oklahoma State looked pretty damn good on Saturday. Penn State -8 right there with you. Georgia -12. I told you I would have played it at -29.5, and that would have hit too. So that felt pretty good. Take that, Dabo. Nevada plus 9.5. We don't need points. We're just going to win the game. I told you I was going to get hooked on Michigan. I got hooked on Michigan. I told you that I don't know about this OSU thing, and I still put my money on it, and they lose the game. And then the Arizona first quarter, man, like I felt like I was there, and then the defense just decided, we don't show up till the second half anyway.
So Tyson went plus 0.6 units. So as a podcast, we're down 4.16 based on our week 0 when we literally did a reverse sweep from all three of us or from both of us. And so we got some work to do, but that's all right. I mean, I think we're building some momentum off of last week. We've been able to get a good dive into this one. And let's not waste any more time, Tyson. Let's start with your play of the week.
My play of the week this week is the over in the Colorado-Nebraska game. I'm playing the over in every Colorado game until I get proven wrong, basically. And at this point, I think that Dylan Raiola and the boys look really good. We had a Mahomes-esque arm angle. I think that was shown on every social media platform that you can name, every ESPN show. I really like what Nebraska has going on. And again, I think that Colorado can score on anybody, and I don't think they can stop anyone. North Dakota State was afraid to throw the ball, it seemed at times, and wanted to establish a run. I hope Matt Rule looks at that film and says, man, I got a guy that could just chuck this thing around the yard.
Over 56 there on DraftKings for Tyson for his play of the week. He's 1-0 on his. I'm trying to get back in the saddle here, and I'm going to do it by laying it with Utah. Now, -14.5, -115 on FanDuel. I'm afraid of the hook here, Tyson. I'm not going to lie, but this isn't necessarily NFL. These are a lot more variance in college football, and based on the power rating numbers that I look at, this is anywhere from a 22.75 spread in favor of Utah based on just pure power ratings to 14.85. So an edge there. When I'm looking at this thing, man, Baylor, their defense, I know Dave Aranda's calling the defense and trying to get things straightened out. Utah is going to be able to rely on their passing attack. Like, when's the last time we said that? Because they're 86 in success rate, 53rd in EPA, which doesn't jump off the page in the first week that they played. But Baylor was 122nd in success rate, and they're 125th in EPA allowed. Like, Cam Rising, veteran, he's not going to turn the ball over. They actually have good weapons at Utah. Like, I think they're going to be able to put up points. And then the offense, I'm not buying. So give me Utah's defense with its 24th in EPA, 15th success rate. Morgan Scalley, let's go. I'm laying it with Utah, my play of the week. Let's get this thing going.
There's something hilarious about calling a college kid a veteran, like especially one that's been in college for 100 years now. So it feels like it fits. I love that. I think Cam Rising is a veteran of college football. My next one here, I'm going with the over in the Boise State-Oregon game. To me, this can go one of two ways. We talked about it a little bit before the show. Oregon can cover this number by themselves. They might score 60 points in this game. They might score 50 points. And at that point, we're sitting pretty, because I expect Boise State and Ashton Gentry to at least be able to put up somewhat of a fight in this game. Or Oregon's not as good as I thought, and that's something that I'm interested to find out here. I think that Idaho gave them weird problems that you just don't see coming, especially from an FCS opponent with so many new faces. It's hard to scout for that. I expect this Oregon team to get rolling. We talked about Gabriel still had a fantastic game. It's just a point like yards. If you look at box scores, you're going to say, "Wow, Oregon's offense was good," and then you look at how many points they scored, and you're going to go, "What the heck?" And I think that they get back to the Oregon football that we've come to expect from this group with 40-plus points, and I think Boise State can hang to get over this number.
Over 60.5 minus 106 on FanDuel. Tyson, I'm staying in the same game on my end, and I'm laying it with Oregon. Minus 20.5. That's minus 115 on FanDuel. Man, I don't normally like laying big numbers, but Dan Lanning talked about how he was disappointed in the effort, disappointed in the execution. And Dan Lanning's at the point when you kind of understand what he's pointing to, and you're like, oh, Oregon's in for a big game. Like, Nick Saban, when he's like, oh, we need to be more physical. You're like, they're going to run the ball. They're going to be super fast on the edge and get after the quarterback. Like Kirby Smart, like, oh, I thought we were soft. That they're going to absolutely destroy this team. And Dan Lanning saying, I didn't like our execution. I didn't like this and that. They're going to come out and they're going to make a point. Listen, Boise State, it was awesome how many points they scored. Ashton Jeanty just put himself in the Heisman conversation. The defense is an issue for the Broncos. And I think Oregon's going to score a ton. I think Tyson and I both get home here, the over, and I think Oregon's going to blow them out, so I'm laying the points here.
I love it. We need a good juju. The next one here for me, this is a principal play. We talk about this sometimes on the show. The way Texas Tech looked, to be going on the road here against anybody, I'm taking Washington State minus 1.5. I don't really have much other analysis on this game besides the fact that I think Texas Tech looked horrible a week ago. I think that they deserve to lose a football game to an opponent that none of us thought would even be able to hang with these guys. And I think Washington State is going to be able to do enough on offense to really kind of put the nail in the coffin here. I normally when it's a number this small, I'm looking at the money line and just saying I don't want to play around with the points. I don't care about the 1.5 here, bet.
So, Tyson, it's not normal. We don't normally come in here and we talk about the big games that we preview. Again, go check that out if you're curious kind of what our thoughts are for this weekend for the big games. I have plays in both the ones that we previewed. And the first one I'm going to start with is Michigan. Getting 7.5 at home, minus 120 on MGM. I think you need the hook here. So if you see a 6.5, don't play it. If it's a 7, I think you kind of play it at your own risk. But I'm getting this thing on MGM at minus 120. And listen, the power ratings I'm looking at, Tyson, get this. One set, who I think does a really good job, has Michigan favored by 2.5 based on the power rating and then the home field advantage. And the other one is they should be getting 4.5. So that's a field goal edge. I talked about it a little bit in the preview. There's a good chance that Michigan was playing possum. I think they're going to dominate in the trenches. Like we didn't see that in the first game against Fresno State, which is a little bit concerning. But Tyson, this is a program under Jim Harbaugh who is just we're gonna hold everything to our chest. We're gonna hold things tight, and then when it's the big games, we're gonna show up and play. Might as well do it here. I'm taking the points with Big Blue.
If they win the game outright, then Sharon Moore needs a contract. Wink Martindale is the only coach in Ann Arbor with a signed contract, which makes no sense to anybody. So Michigan wins this game outright. You got to pay Sharon. You talked about getting hooked here, and I don't like this at plus 17 as much as I like it at plus 17.5. But I'm going with App State to cover here. I don't think that Clemson looked very good, and I know it was Georgia. I don't think they would have moved the ball in many teams in the country a week ago, and this is multiple years now where we've seen this offense be really, really slow to start. We've seen App State over the last couple of years be able to put on film that, hey, we're a legitimate group of 5 team. We can play with some of the better teams in the country, and I don't really believe in my heart that Clemson's top 25 at this very point in time. And so I think App State covers this number. I know the home field is crazy. I know Dabo's on a bounce back mission. I don't care, man. It's Cade Klubnik, and as long as it's him, I'm going the other way.
And App State, man, 2 of the biggest wins. Michigan, that shocking one, and then going on the road in Kyle Field and beating Texas A&M. I mean, they're giant killers. So the other rivalry game and the biggest game of the weekend I'm going with, Iowa State. I couldn't believe I saw this, 3.5. I'm getting the hook here at MGM. That's minus 120. A lot of other shops are laying 3 or taking 3 and putting that at the number. Preferably, I want the hook, right? If you 3, okay, you leave yourself up for a push. So I think you want to go find this hook. It's just a rivalry game, man. These are crazy. These Cyhawk games are low scoring, not a lot of possessions. I know, everybody thinks that, Don Coryell, Eric Coryell's calling the offense for Iowa now, and Cade Klubnik is freaking Dan Reeves. But listen, you're playing a real team now. You're playing Iowa State, whose defense looked good last week. I don't think they really pushed themselves on offense against North Dakota. I think they're going to save it for this one, and it's just another game where you kind of look ahead to the biggest game on their schedule in the state for sure. And the power ratings wise, they're one I look at. Iowa State should be favored by 3.5. Now, the other one has them plus 9.6. So, I mean, we got a range here, and that's what normally happens when we just have few data points. But I just go back to this is a rivalry game. These games get wonky, and I'm just going to take a 3.5 if I can get it.
So, if you notice on the people on YouTube, you see the Penn State flag behind Brad. You saw him back Michigan just a couple of minutes ago, and in order to get that taste out of his mouth, he had to fade Cade McNamara. At any cost. He just had to get some shot at the Michigan man here. The next one, Brad, I think I found my Washington. I think I found my Tulane. I think I found my team this year that I might be rolling week over week. I think Oklahoma State looked damn good, and I think they're going to continue to look good. I don't think Arkansas is a very good team. I think Oklahoma State has playoff aspirations, and I understand, that's not a crazy thing to say about a team that's ranked this highly, but in week 2 here, I think that it's another Ollie Gordon game. It's another ball control game, and I don't trust Arkansas to be able to keep up with this Oklahoma State offense. They blew the doors off South Dakota State in the second half last week, and that comes down to Gundy, baby. Like, that's our guy, and that's halftime adjustments. That's being able to come out and impose your will, and I expect similar results this week.
So that's your last one, right, Tyson? Yes. Or you got one more? Okay, so I'll run through my final 2 here. And, Tyson mentioned I guess I got 3 more. Jeez. Tyson mentioned I got a bad taste in my mouth from back in Michigan. Well, I'm about to commit the cardinal sin here as a Penn State man. I'm laying 37.5 with Ohio State. That's minus 108 on DraftKings. This is a power ratings play, minus 43.5 for one, 39 for the other. Ohio State didn't look good early and turned it on against Akron. This is going to be a game where Ohio State clicks. That was the first game under Chip Kelly. They're going to be able to dominate the game on the ground, but just by running it. And so when you're trying to run out the clock, right, and that's what we get nervous about, like, oh, well, they're up big and they're just going to sit on it. Well, if you have the advantage by running the football anyway, there are explosive plays that can come from that. And we know Chip Kelly loves to run the football. There are a ton of running backs in this system who are ready to take over and prove that they can be the next guy once Judkins leaves. And so I think this is a spot where, okay, we had our first game, we kind of understand it, and then everything clicks. They kind of know their strengths, and they're going to just run the opposing team out of the building. And Tyson, I'm laying it with North Carolina, another big spread here, minus 22. That's minus 110 on DraftKings. Now, this is another power ratings play, 23.5 for one, 24.6 on the other. But I think they're going to lean into the running game here, man. I mean, Max Johnson's hurt. Connor Harrell's coming in. That to me says they're going to do a lot more on the ground to just give the ball to their superstar running back. Their running game is 20th in success rate, 40th in EPA. Like, when we're looking at that, and they're going to lean into that more. That was against a Minnesota team, too, that at least has Big Ten bodies. Charlotte, on the other end, Tyson, who we know was banged up against James Madison last week, they're 58th in success rate and 104th in EPA per play on the ground, and EPA on the ground. Like, it's
better than Baylor.
A little better than Baylor. I just think North Carolina's going to lean on their strengths here. They're going to be able to score a ton of points through the ground. I'm a little concerned about Harrell, but just simplify the game. Mac Brown does that well. And then I'll close out here. This is a Friday game. I'm laying it with SMU, minus 11.5 against Baylor. Power ratings should be 14 or 11. So, lose a little bit on the back end for one of those systems. But, SMU hasn't really blown anybody away. I think that kind of factors into one of the power ratings I look at. But SMU's got a huge offensive advantage here against BYU. They're 6th in EPA per dropback. Baylor's 117th in EPA per drop back on defense. I just think SMU is going to lean into their strength, throw the football around the yard, and then their defense is going to stifle BYU. SMU has done a good job of recruiting athletes that can compete at the ACC level. They're mature, they're senior laden, and I think they're going to be able to make a statement here on a standalone game on Friday.
Okay, so I'm going to give you one thing from all three of those. The Ohio State game, you are a cover book, brother. You got no spine. You can't be doing all that. There's no way. And then you're back in Chip Kelly with the Eagles flag behind you too. I mean, come on. Number two, Omarion Hampton. I mean, Mac Brown came out and said, like, this is the best running back I think I've been around. And a game against Charlotte, he might account for the entirety of that 22-point spread. So I don't hate that at all. And then the last one, my friend. Sometimes, if the stove is hot, take your hand away. And this is what you're doing with these SMU Mustangs. We're going to get burned by these guys.
Oh, it wouldn't be I said what I said without me back in Texas State schools. Come on, you know that. All right, well, that's it for us, Tyson. I know you and I were both looking for team totals. Those have not come out, at least what I've been looking at. I don't think you found anything either. Normally, we do like to give an angle on that. So that'd probably be something later in the week. So where can they find anything that we add?
It'll be in our Discord. As I said what I said. We have a ton of different channels. We have, anything you can think of. And Brad said it. I think that team totals, especially this early in the season, are one of the hallmarks, I guess, of what we do here. And that's something that I'm looking to get more into. But it's hard. These games are only in a couple of days, and then they haven't come out yet. So this is the only place you're going to get them, folks. They won't be on the shows. They will be in our Discord.
And in the meantime, like, subscribe, and share the show. Smash that like button on the way out. Let us know what you're playing this week in the comments, too. We like to interact with you guys. If you're curious about the Discord, go leave a comment and click on the link. It's in our bio. And stay subscribed. Like, we got a ton of content coming out for you guys this football season. So if you're a huge NFL guy, we got our week 1 picks coming up. We'll do our first reaction show next week, as well as our college football reaction. So stay tuned to that, guys. We got a ton coming out for you. And so NFL week 1 picks will be later. We'll speak to you all then. Peace.